The year is 1947. The dust of World War II has settled, but the world finds no peace. Instead, the globe is cleaved in two. On one side, the capitalist democracies led by the United States. On the other, the communist bloc dominated by the monolithic Soviet Union. This was the Cold War, a half-century of unrelenting ideological and geopolitical tension. The battles weren't fought on the front lines. They were fought in research labs, university classrooms, and beneath the sea. The currency of victory wasn't land, but innovation. The fuse for this technological war was the atomic bomb. Once the technology was proven, the race shifted instantly from bomb construction to weapons delivery. This grim necessity birthed the most terrifying yet technologically transformative weapon of the age, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM. The ICBM demanded unprecedented leaps in materials science, gyroscopic guidance, and multi-stage rocketry. It was a race against extinction. And it was this missile technology, originally designed for global annihilation, that in one swift, shocking moment unlocked the gateway to the heavens and launched the greatest technological contest in human history. On the 4th of October 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1. It was a tiny, unremarkable metal sphere, yet its simple signal, audible across the globe, signaled the unimaginable. Soviet rocket technology was superior. They possessed the power to deliver a warhead anywhere on Earth. This was the Sputnik crisis, and it officially inaugurated the space race. The U.S. response was a mobilization of national will and resources unseen in peacetime. They created NASA and passed the National Defense Education Act, funneling billions into science and engineering education. The moon landing became the single, measurable goal, demanding impossible innovations within a decade. To achieve the Apollo mission, engineers solved 4 fundamental problems that underpin our modern lives. Miniaturization. The rocket needed a guidance computer that was both powerful and feather-light. This demand accelerated the development and mass production of the integrated circuit and the microchip, driving a stake through the heart of bulky vacuum tube technology. Telemetry. The need for reliable, long-distance communication with astronauts pioneered modern satellite broadcasting and networking protocols. Digital control. The digital guidance systems created for the Saturn V were the first high-reliability, real-time computerized control systems, a direct ancestor of automation in modern industry. Power cells. The necessity of light, reliable power sources led to massive investment in efficient fuel cells and rechargeable batteries. When the American flag was planted on the moon in 1969, the U.S. had won the race's greatest symbolic prize, but the technological output, the microchip, had quietly changed the world forever. Concurrently, the most profound technological legacy of the Cold War was taking shape in darkened university labs. Early computers were enormous mainframes, built almost exclusively for military and intelligence calculation. They tracked Soviet bombers and calculated complex missile trajectories. But reliance on these centralized systems presented a terrifying vulnerability. If a nuclear attack destroyed a single command center, the entire command structure would collapse. The U.S. Department of Defense tasked its Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA, with solving this problem. The solution was revolutionary: a decentralized, redundant network that could function even if parts were destroyed. This project, launched in the late 1960 seconds, was the ARPANET. It connected 4 initial university nodes in 1969, and its first message, the simple word login, crashed the system at the letter GIM. ARPANET was the progenitor of the modern Internet. Crucially, the development of its communication rules, the TCP, IP protocols, laid the unshakable groundwork for how data travels globally today. The ultimate irony is that the tool built to survive a nuclear war became the indispensable infrastructure of global connection and commerce. This military investment also funded the earliest research into time-sharing, packet switching, and graphics interface, all necessary precursors to the personal computer revolution. The technological seeds of Silicon Valley were planted with defense dollars. The technological race was also a shadow war of intelligence. The most powerful weapon wasn't a warhead, but information. This drove unprecedented advancements in surveillance and stealth. Both sides raced to perfect spy satellites. The U.S. Corona program, though top secret for decades, pioneered systems that could photograph Soviet territory and return film to Earth. This remote sensing technology, born of espionage, is the same principle used today for everything from environmental monitoring to agricultural surveying. The technological race also transformed naval warfare. The development of nuclear-powered submarines created vessels that could stay submerged for months, carrying ballistic missiles and providing a virtually undetectable second-strike nuclear capability. The effort to track them gave rise to sophisticated sonar systems and vast hydrophone arrays planted on the ocean floor. Perhaps the most radical advancement was stealth technology. The desire to create aircraft invisible to Soviet radar led to revolutionary applications of composite materials, radar-absorbing paints, and complex computational fluid dynamics to create radical, angular aircraft designs. Stealth was not a single invention. It was the confluence of multiple scientific breakthroughs driven by the singular mission to evade detection. By the 1980s, the technological arms race was no longer an even sprint. It had become a sprint for the U.S. against a struggling Soviet marathon runner. The fundamental difference lay in their economic systems. The Soviets, with their closed, centrally planned economy, struggled to translate their superb military engineering into commercial benefit. Their advanced jet engines did not lead to efficient civilian airliners. Their military computers did not lead to the personal computer. Innovation remained trapped within the military-industrial complex. The U.S. system's reliance on private industry and university research meant that military-funded breakthroughs, the microchip, the Internet protocol, were rapidly commercialized. This created a colossal information technology gap. While the U.S. leveraged technology for exponential civilian growth, the USSR had to manufacture every computer domestically, resulting in backward, expensive, and non-standardized equipment. The final technological nail in the Soviet coffin was the U.S. Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, dubbed Star Wars. Whether the technology was feasible or not, the Soviet leadership knew they could not financially compete with a U.S. defense system based on spaceborne computing, sensors, and lasers. The impossible cost of keeping pace with the American technological engine ultimately contributed to the complete collapse of the Soviet economic system in 1991. The Cold War ended in 1991, but the technological revolution it sparked continues. The entire architecture of the modern world, from the GPS in your phone to the Internet on your screen, is a direct inheritance of that tense, transformative era. The competition may have been fueled by fear and hostility, but the result was an unprecedented state-funded commitment to scientific excellence. Governments invested heavily in STEM education and fundamental research, treating science and engineering as the ultimate non-nuclear deterrent. The history of the Cold War is the history of forced innovation. It proved that existential threats, when met with political will and massive resources, can fundamentally accelerate human progress. The ultimate paradox is this: the half-century of preparation for a cataclysmic war inadvertently ushered in the age of information.